Hi, I'm Zach Jeffries, and welcome to Saskatoon In Focus, where we talk to the people in and behind the headlines that make Saskatoon the city that it is today. Today we're joined by Ryan Lejbak, who is the Director of Speakers for the TEDxSaskatoon Organizing Committee. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, Zach.
So, Ryan, the first question is, what is TEDxSaskatoon for those of us out there who don't know?
Well, I think it's important to start with what TED is. And so TED started out in 2002, and it started out in California. And it's a conference where some of the world's thought leaders get together. And it's not just people who have PhDs who speak at it, or people who are academics, but it's people from all walks of life. So whether you're a cricket player in India, or a bridge builder in Africa, or a scientist in North America, you have the ability to talk at TED. And when you talk there, the whole concept is ideas worth sharing, or ideas worth spreading. And so what they want is people who have good stories to tell and good ideas from all walks of life all around the world to be able to come and speak and inspire other people to kind of get your mind churning and talk and think a little bit more. And about a year ago, TED, there's so many people who want to go to TED conferences. They're sold out years in advance. They have thousands of people in the queue waiting to go to these conferences. So they decided to start these TEDx events, which local organizing committees can do, such as we've done in Saskatoon. So we have the conference TEDxSaskatoon, and the X kind of stands for the independently organized part of TED. So a number of cities around the world got licenses to do this. Saskatoon was one of them. We started planning this maybe about a year ago, knowing full well that it's all volunteers that organize, and it takes a little bit of time. And it's being held this Saturday, November 13th, and it's going to be a great event.
So TEDxSaskatoon then is basically an independent and local version of the TED Talks that a number of us know from watching online.
That's right. So if you go to TED.com, you can see people speak, ranging from all ranges of speakers. I remember watching Bill Gates speak there a few years ago on the internet, and seeing a little 12-year-old girl speak, and someone talking about car accidents, and people talking about vaccinations and so on. So there's all kinds of different topics. But again, what we're trying to do in Saskatoon is take that global concept and make it local. So we really sought to find speakers who are Saskatchewan born and raised, or spent most of their life in Saskatchewan anyways, talking about Saskatchewan ideas and what Saskatchewan people can be doing, and as far as creativity and inspiring other people to go.
So with those local speakers, tell us, are these people that we know? Are they going to be people that we don't know? Who is going to be joining you at your event on the 13th here with the TEDxSaskatoon?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because we really wanted to feature a range of speakers, from well-known people to people who no one's ever heard of, and that's the whole idea and spirit of TED. So the Lieutenant Governor, Gordon Barnhart, will be speaking at it, and he's a name that a lot of people know. But before he became the Lieutenant Governor, I think a lot of people might not realize this. He's educated in Saskatchewan. He's written some books about Saskatchewan. He's traveled around the world to learn about democracy, and he's doing a talk about how to inspire younger people to get interested in democracy. And this is based on his views when he's been in places like Africa and Asia, where democracy is just starting out. So there's a well-known name right there. And Jay Semko, who's a singer, or one of the singers for the Northern Pikes and the songwriter for the Northern Pikes, and has been around the music scene in Canada. A lot of people consider him one of Canada's best songwriters. He's going to be doing a talk on what inspires him creatively, or how to think creatively. And the interesting thing about the TED Talks and with Gordon and Jay's talks is, in TED the talks can be 5 minutes long or 18 minutes long. So Dr. Barnhart's talking about his topic for 18 minutes, whereas Jay's just talking for 5 minutes. And every speaker, no matter who you are, whether again you're a Bill Gates, someone who everybody knows, when 18 minutes hits, you're cut off, and you have to be done by then. And that's one of the things about TEDx, is every speaker's treated equally. So we've got some well-known speakers like that, to maybe some younger speakers. I'm thinking of a guy, Dale Zach, who's speaking at it, and he's got an interesting story about technology and inspiring younger kids in third world countries with technology. And Dr. Monique Dubé has done research around the world about the power of water, and how we have to educate women in third world countries, because women are providers of water. They're the ones who seek it out. They're the ones who provide water for their tribes, and how women need to be better educated so that they can continue to supply water for their tribe. So we've really tried for a unique blend of speakers. For the TEDxSaskatoon event, it's a one-day event, so Under the license that we can have 12 speakers speaking, so that's what we're going to do. And 8 of them are the 18-minute variety, 4 of them are the 5-minute variety. And again, we've got speakers from all different types of backgrounds, and hopefully an audience from all different types of backgrounds as well.
So I actually checked out the website for the organization just before we had our interview here, Ryan, and I noticed that it's sold out. If I wanted to go, I actually can't. So how can people in Saskatoon, in our community here, interact with the organization and with the speakers that you're going to be having? How can that be something that we spread among everyone in our city?
Yeah, that's a good question, because TED events are so popular, and they've allowed the local organizations like ourselves to host them. But the first time you do a TEDx event, you can have 100 speakers. That's your limit, and it's kind of like a little trial basis to make sure that you're delivering on the TED province. So when we're sold out, we actually took applicants. We had about 250 people apply to go to TED. And we actually, in your application, we had to you had to answer a question: why are you interested in going to TED? And what will you bring to it? So we had to go through every application, and we tried to pick a wide variety of people, again, just like speakers from all types of different backgrounds. Because I was thinking about this when I was driving over here. If you're say a city planner and you go to a convention of city planners, you're talking to people who all have like interests or the same type of job as you. So you're kind of learning about what your field is. And a lot of us, when you're going to conferences, you usually go to things where you find other people who are doing the same job as you. So for me, my profession is a web developer, so I go to web development conferences, and carpenters and tradespeople will go to the carpenter conferences. But what we want to do is grab people from all different walks of life, so that in between the events you could network and learn from people from different walks of life. Again, I use the idea, if you're a student, and you could maybe be talking to a doctor or a lawyer or a environmentalist or someone who's a farmer or whatever. So we wanted to bring all those kinds of people in. But there is a way that people can interact. Every TED event has to be filmed, and it will be broadcast afterwards. So it won't be broadcast live. We're not allowed to do that as part of our license right now. But we are recording all the sessions, and about a week or so after the sessions, they'll be available on the TEDxSaskatoon.com website, so you will be able to see what's happening. Something else that's unique with TED and TEDx events is you're not allowed to have any mobile devices or laptops inside the theater, so there won't be any people tweeting or posting to Facebook or updating or blogging live from the event, because what they want is people to be concentrating on what's going on, and people being able to listen. It's kind of distracting. If you go to a conference right now, everybody beside you is like, kind of after the lunch meeting, people are like dozing off, or they're checking their Blackberries or whatever. So one of the things that TED's done is ask people not to do that. So there will be a lot of stuff afterwards that people will be able to see, but only the 100 people plus a few volunteers will be actually inside the theater when TEDx is going. Now, having said that, because this event's proven to be very popular, and there is a TEDx license for Saskatoon set up now, we can hold more of these TEDx events in the future. And I think what the organizing committee will do after this event is maybe plan something again. For sure we'll have one next year, but maybe we'll go to twice a year to kind of address that crowd. But after you've had the first TEDx event, you're also allowed to bring more people into the next one. So maybe we'll be able to get 250 to 300 people at our next event, which will hopefully satisfy the crowd. But we're really proud of the city stepping forward. We had like 50 or 60 people want to volunteer for this, and of course that was too many. We didn't need that many volunteers. We had, like I said, a couple hundred people applying to attend. We had speakers that we had to turn away just because of the time frame. So it's proven to be very popular, and we want to include as many people as we can in the future. So we want to do more of these events and get into a bigger venue and hold bigger events. And that's key for us, is making sure everybody in the community has an opportunity to be involved.
So Ryan, is there something in organizing this event that you found it makes Saskatoon special? I mean, the fact is that these events are not taking place in every community across Canada or across North America. What did you find interesting in this community that makes such an interesting and possibly inspiring event possible?
Well, I'm real pro Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, and a lot of people on our committee are. But you kind of look at what's happening around the world. Like, they've had TEDx events in big cities like Tokyo and Moscow and New York and Toronto, Kuala Lumpur. The big cities around the world. And here's Saskatoon, which isn't, if you're talking about big global cities, a lot of people don't consider Saskatoon in that category. But people from Saskatoon, we realize, we've got such a strong volunteer base, and we're really passionate about where we live. We all love our city, and And when you're looking for volunteers to do things, and when you're looking for people to attend events, whether it's a sporting event or a theater, people show up for that, and they're really proud to do those kinds of things. And I think we really saw the community spirit take off around this event. We weren't sure what to expect because how many people have heard of TED, how many people have heard of TEDx, how many people would want to spend time volunteering and so on. And we were overwhelmed by the support that we've gotten, and again, overwhelmed by how many people will be attending the event. So I think that when I look back at what's happening in Saskatoon, there's a great community spirit going on in the city right now, where there's lots of people who are interested in doing things and trying new things out. This isn't one of those a typical thing where you go down to your local hotel and have a conference and you kind of sit there all day. This is a really engaging, interactive thing. And a lot of people say when you go to a TED or a TEDx event, your mind is kind of worn out after the end of the day. You kind of got to go home and have a nap just because of how much you learn and stuff like that. And that's what we're really hoping to achieve, is really inspiring people to come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things in the city.
Great. Well, it sounds like an exciting event. Ryan, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of those speakers posted online on the TEDxSaskatoon website once the event is finished.
All right, thanks, Zach.
And that's all the time that we have for Saskatoon in Focus. Thanks so much for joining us. Please make sure you connect with us. Find us online, saskatooninfocus.ca. Send us an email, saskatooninfocus@gmail.com. Also find us on Twitter and on Facebook. We want your ideas about guests, about questions that we can be asking people on the program, and really, when we have people interacting and giving their feedback, we can make sure that we can build Saskatoon into the best city in the world. Thanks for joining us.